Welcome to GameRomp Easy Mode, a chill, easygoing podcast about video games.
And it's with your hosts, me, David, and...
me, Deanna.
Uh-huh. So...
You were pretty excited about talking about stuff this week, I guess, because...
Well, I'm always excited to sit here and talk with you. Even if it's, the same old stuff we talk about every week.
No, I know, but you actually, play games during the week, and I barely do.
Oh, we both played about the same. I saw you playing lots of The Long Dark.
Yeah, a little bit. I finished chapter 2, I guess. It's weird. It's like, I finished chapter 2, and I start chapter 3, but chapter 3 starts in a cave, so it's weird.
It kind of, teleports you to the next location, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no real travel, per se.
Interesting. I remember, chapter 2 was the bear one, and that's...
Well, that's the thing. Chapter 3 is kind of also partly the bear thing.
What? You still have to deal with the bear?
Okay. So, last time I had to help the old trapper guy by going into one of the other maps. I forget if it was the Coastal Highway. It's the place where it, has all the ice that breaks apart and stuff. Yeah. And there's, 3 towers in there, and you have to pull out, some component from them or something. So it's kind of traveling all over the map. The first 2 I managed to get in, about 1 day, I think, give or take.
Okay, I have a question for you then.
Okay.
When I remember playing the story mode, I got to the part with the bear, and the guy was like, I need you to have a bunch of encounters with this bear. I forget what the number was, but it's it wasn't just shoot him once. It was you had to see him a bunch of times, and it felt annoying and tedious, and that's where I stopped playing. I thought I saw you have a cutscene where you killed the bear. You're telling me that the bear is still alive?
Well, first of all, you don't shoot it. You have to get the spear. And you have to dig this spear that's probably, bigger than the dude's hand. So, I don't know, say, how big is a usual dude's hand? 6 inches, take? I don't know measurements.
I don't know.
So, bigger than your hand. And that's just the middle part that you're sticking in the bear. And you encounter this bear, on 3 separate occasions after you get the spear. And each time you have to, dig it into its chest 3 times. So it's 9 times at least you're stabbing this bear in its chest, and somehow it fucking survives. It is absolutely ridiculous. And it's got that pattern of 3 like fucking Mario does. And you come across it when you come up to one of the towers, and you have to battle it there, and then it and goes off or whatever. Then the second time... Oh, you do a little battle between you and the bear just before you cross over into the next map to get back to the trapper guy. Mm-hmm. And that's when the cutscene is even if you prepare it correctly, you get attacked by the bear anyways. He starts what I assume is ripping into you. But instead of the usual death screen that you got, because God knows I got that death screen too many times, you then wake up into chapter 3. And that's where, the crossover between the chapters is, I think.
Oh, okay.
But you wake up in, the cave bear's den. Deep in this cave. And it's kind of, ridiculous because this cave bear just has this massive tunnel somewhere. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason this bear has a cave this fucking big. But, whatever. So you go through there, and somehow you're still alive after that bear attack. And you have to travel through all these little tunnels in order to not be seen by the bear. And it's hard because it's oh, don't be seen by the bear. And in the beginning of the game, it's if you crouch and move really slowly, animals won't see you. But if you do that, trying to get from little tunnel to little tunnel, you'll just get mauled every time.
Okay.
What you have to do is, instead of crawling and trying to be quiet, see the next little tunnel that you need to go to, which is conveniently marked by glowing stuff on the rocks, I guess. And you just fucking make a run for it. It's kind of the complete opposite of what the game told you to do before, so okay. Whatever. And you go through little tunnel after little tunnel, and then eventually you find the spare again. And it's funny, too, because, like, okay, this bear tore you to shreds. Suddenly you don't have any of your stuff. And the bear, I guess, just decided to take the spear, and it looks like the spear is conveniently stuck in the ground. It's not that the bear just decided to drag you away and it's like laying somewhere. It's like stuck in the snow inside the cave somewhere. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. I shouldn't think too deeply, I know.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I mean, I'm trying not to either, but I just...
And then you have the final showdown and you got to do it another 3 times. And, like, again, you've stabbed this bear. I guess it's like some magical bear, because there's no reason a bear can take like 8 to 9 stabbings in the chest. And then the thing that really kills it is you finally take the spear out from the chest and like stab it in the neck. It's like, what? He couldn't fucking decide to do that at any other time?
Weird. But now you're finally done with the bear.
Yeah, the next scene you finally make your way back to the trapper's cabin. You have some talk with him. They try getting through the radio that you like spent all the time getting those parts for. You barely get any signal from the other people that you're trying to contact, and then the radio basically blows up. And the trapper's like, well, I guess that's over with, so now you just got to take this path to get to Preservation Hills or whatever you have to go to.
Okay.
And then he throws you out of the house. Like, you can't go back. Like, I tried the door and it's like, it just says locked, and your character's like, well, I should just head out now or something. And it was funny because all through the trip of going through and getting to the towers and stuff, these fucking wolves just would not stop. In fact, one of the fights, I guess, because it happened each time, so I guess it's a designated fight, if you will, to get to one of the towers, there's like 3 wolves that attack you one after the other. I didn't realize that the first time, so I fucking got mauled to death. Then I was like, okay, I'm going here, I know there's going to be 3 wolves, and it went without a hitch.
I'm guessing you should have been using, like, flares or something.
No, I mean, I had a gun. I have plenty of fucking ammo. I don't know. I missed my shots, and then I wasn't expecting, and yada yada.
And they don't get scared away just from the sound. They need to actually hit them.
The first one, I guess. The other 2 ended up hearing the shot and fleeing. It got goofed up the first time. Whatever. Okay. But there was so many wolves between those 3 wolves, and coming across deer carcasses, and shooting, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 more wolves on the rest of the map and what have you. I had so many fucking pelts with me. And I did get the pelts, and I left them strategically, I guess, to remember where the hell they were, on the train line. And then I go do the rest of my business. That way I'm not completely over encumbered. Come back, pick them up, and then I head back out. Well, all the bear cave stuff, and then going back to the trapper, which I had left a couple of wolf and deer pelts there too. So then he throws me off, I get all my stuff, and I could just imagine this poor character bastard just like crawling through the snow at the slowest pace, because I was just like moving like a snail, because I was just that over encumbered with all the furs and all the stuff that I had left at his house. And I just slowly, I don't know if it took like 10-15 minutes to finally get back to the cabin. Wow. Like the Canadian outpost cabin. Yeah. And then I could drop everything, and I'm like, holy shit. It took so fucking long, but I could just imagine him just, I don't know, crawling like a snail on all 4s trying to get all this shit back.
Are you even going to use all that stuff?
Well, I don't have all the recipes yet. I do have one recipe for like a wolf pelt coat or something, and I think that takes 3 or 4 pelts plus like 3 or 4 dried guts or whatever. So that one definitely I'll be looking forward to making. And I know in survival there's a bunch of other recipes that I can make with the deer pelts and everything, so eventually, hopefully, I'll actually have to use them.
I mean, sure, if you are still in the area.
Well, yeah, but I there's still a few things I need to finish up in this particular map. Like the forest talkers, I have to like go back and see how the guy's doing in the cabin.
Oh, I guess that's somebody new that I don't know.
Yeah, it's a side quest type of thing.
Okay.
So that was about the last that I played of The Long Dark.
Was that the only... That was like the only thing you played this week, I guess?
Technically, I played a little bit of, I think it's called like Ragnarok Online Origins.
Oh yeah, I saw you playing. Okay. I guess you had been listening to the music and just wanted to experience the world again or something? Like, what made you want to play that?
Well, yes, part of it...
Because that's not the classic Ragnarok.
No, unfortunately. I don't know if I... Okay. I had originally downloaded this Ragnarok Origins like fucking months ago. I had it on the computer, I just never touched it.
Okay.
Because that's just the thing I do, I guess. And then lately, yes, I have been listening to some of the music from the original Ragnarok Online. Because somehow the music is just that fucking good. Like, Maple Story has a couple of good tracks. And there's also a ton of tracks that I just haven't listened to. So, fair enough. But I listened to most of the tracks from Ragnarok Online. And there's one that some people, I guess, refer to as the Rave Cave. I guess it's a cave you went into, and people made a lot of comments that like there was a specific headgear thing you could get in there. You know how like they used to have bunny ears and a big bow, and I guess elven ears were in this cave or something.
Okay.
But the music in this cave is just absolutely bonkers for an online game. But it is so good. And then there's like another track that's like pretty good, and then it comes in with this massive like guitar solo, and it just sounds like the person playing the guitar is just going fucking crazy. It's somehow really good. So yes, I've been listening to that a little bit lately, and then I'm like, oh, I have this Ragnarok game on my computer, so I thought it was like a reboot, I guess, kind of the original Ragnarok Online that we had. You dabbled in that a little bit, right?
Not really. I mean, I was curious about it back in the day because the art reminded me of Final Fantasy Tactics. But even back then, you had to pay to play it, didn't you?
I don't remember. I think I had gone to private servers, so probably.
Oh, yeah. So I never really played it back in the day. There was like one time way in the future where, like, this is post-WoW, where it's like, oh, we found a private server, and I guess I'll give it a shot, because I always wanted to, but I just could not get into it. It was too dated for me by that point.
That's fair. So I had dabbled it a little bit, maybe not when it originally came out, but sometime along there. And so I guess, again, this had been on the computer for so long, I guess I forgot that it was maybe a completely different game. And I started up, and I downloaded it, and it unpackages, blah, blah, blah. I finally get in, and the characters are more 3D. They're not the, like, 2D pixels of the old style. And that's fine. It's, like, whatever. And you can pick between humans or these, like... I know you had brought this up in a past podcast about... Oh, it's the cat girls and boys, and their long hair, so you can't see that they don't have human ears, but they got the cat ears and stuff. So I picked that because I'm like, ooh, kitty girl, whatever. And it's just... It's a mobile port.
Yeah, I saw the big mobile UI on your screen.
Oh, God, it is so fucking bad. And it's just... You got all the buttons, you got all these things. It's overwhelming at first. They're constantly shoving the shop into your face every time. And it's also like, the story is like, oh, you're having this graduation, but, ooh, some demons come up and disrupt it.
Disrupt?
Disrupt it. What the fuck? Demons come in and disrupt... Fuck! Demons come in and disrupt the ceremony, and you have to attack them. You're just doing all these like stupid high numbers. It's that shit like, oh, you're graduating, but you're doing all these numbers, and it's like thousands and whatever, and it's just like you're hitting buttons. There's no rhyme or reason to what you're really doing.
Sounds awful.
Yeah. And then you go to like the actual real world, I guess, or reality, or whatever it is, and like, oh, now suddenly you lost all your powers, so you're a level 1 adventurer. But then, like, I hit a couple of, like, the pourings and the lunatics, which are actually just, like, the bunnies that they're called. And I gained, like, 5 levels and all this extra shit. And it just... It's all the worst of the mobile gaming from the East, basically. Like, oh, you hit thing once, it died, and you gained 5 levels. Like, it's just, what the fuck? I don't like it.
I mean...
It's bad.
Yeah.
And now I'm sad.
Even, like... It's tough, because, like, even, like, MapleStory back in the day was kind of like that. You start off slow, and it's fine. But you get to the point where the numbers are just... They're too big to comprehend.
Yeah, it's just a mush of graphics of numbers.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
And I'm not one of those people that does YouTube videos where they have to, like, you know, play this old MMO game and rate it and play for a specific, like, 8 hours just to get through it and see what they think at the end of it. I'm playing for an hour and I'm like, no, this fucking sucks, I'm done.
Yeah, true. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, like, record and make a video, but it sounds so tedious.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's worth the time to edit a video and all this annoyance and shit.
I've thought about making videos of stuff too, but it's just always like, oh god, maybe if I had infinite space on my hard drives, I could be like just recording while I'm playing, but that shit takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So I have to feel like...
You'd probably have to, like, get one of those, like, multiple terabyte hard drives specifically for that.
Yeah, that's not in the cards right now. Maybe one day, because, like, sometimes I'll be playing something and I'll be like, oh, I want to talk about this, and sure, I can talk about it on the podcast, but I feel like maybe making a video or something to show it off too would be fun. But just the fact that you have to be so deliberate. I either have to, like, record and just be like, okay, goodbye, 20 gigabytes of space on my hard drive, or I have to use that 5-minute recording thing, or the little button I can press where I can record, like, the last 30 seconds or a minute of gameplay, and do that every so often. And, like, just make sure I recorded, like, at least enough for, like, 10 minutes of... But then I forget to do it. Like, I'll be playing and I just forget to hit that button, so...
Yeah, you think they'd make a program or something where, say you start off, and for the first 10 minutes it records whatever you're starting. That way you get, like, the opening scenes and all that stuff. And then just periodically every, like... I don't know, you could set it to every 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then it would record. It would turn on record, like, 10 minutes, and then shut off, and then periodically...
Also, I need, like, either a hotkey that's mapped to my controller, or just, I don't know, figure out a way to map it to something I can remember. Because, okay, on my computer, I can use either the Xbox Windows built-in thing, or the NVIDIA built-in thing, because, like, technically both should be always running, I guess. And
technically Steam has one too, if you wanted to try that one.
If I'm running a Steam game, but I don't always play Steam games.
Fair.
But yeah, just, like, remembering, like, oh, what button is it? It's, like, I think Windows key plus G plus, like, F10. It's like, I don't fucking know. That's too much, man.
You'd have to go in the key binding, see if you could change it. If you can't change it, then write it down and just have it right there in front of your face.
I guess. I'm just bad about that stuff. Because, like, okay.
Hey, it's not like I'm trying, so whatever.
The last game I played, I guess, that I would talk about is, I forget if I already talked about Mega Man 4 last week.
Yes.
I was in a mood for Mega Man, right? So I played through that and I beat it. And then YouTube randomly suggested this channel where this person was playing through a bunch of ROM hacks. And the issue with ROM hacks is, like, sometimes they're just... we're going to make this game incredibly hard and tedious. And sometimes it's just, like, little remixes or whatever. But this was a ROM hack for Mega Man 4. I think it was called Voyage Blue version. Okay. All the stages are new. The 8 Robot Masters are still the same. Like, you still got, like, Drill Man and Skull Man and Toad Man, but their AI has been changed, so they all have different patterns. Some of their weapons have been reworked. Some of them are the same. Like, Toadman's rain thing is still the same, but, for example, Ring Man, when you use his, instead of being like a little ring boomerang, it's like this little ring projectile that goes around Mega Man in a ring shape. Or Pharaoh Man, instead of using the thing where he would, like, charge this, like, sun over his head, Now it's kind of like a rapid fire thing, but you could still aim it up and down, so that's still kind of useful. Anyway, so all the bosses have been remixed. The stages are completely different. They all have all new music. I don't know where the music is from, because sometimes you'll hear some of the ROM hacks will just like it's just the stages will be remixed, but it's still the same music, or they'll just pull music from other Mega Man games, so I can recognize them. But I didn't recognize any of this music, and I've played every NES 8-bit Mega Man and Mega Man X game, so I don't know where they pulled the music from.
Maybe it's just fan-made?
I don't know. But it was good. So it was nice just to go into a stage. It looks all different. It's set up in different ways. The music is all new. And they've brought in enemies from other Mega Man games. From past games like the, I forget the full name, but the Suzy enemy from Mega Man 1, which is like this eyeball thing that goes back and forth. Classic Mega Man enemy. Or the helicopter thing from Mega Man 9 that like grabs you and like moves you to the left real quick. Basically, just a bunch of enemies from different games have been brought into this. So like it's just a fun remixed game, and like the balancing is good. It's not too hard. It's not too easy.
It's just right.
Yeah, and that's like really hard to do. There's also some really creative things in the Wily castles, because like I guess they're not confident enough to like draw big new bosses, so they had to use like a lot of like old stuff. So the dragon from Mega Man 2 makes a reappearance, but there's like points where you're flying on Rush to escape it. It's like, oh, that's kind of new. And they reuse a lot of the dock robots, and I don't know what they were called. In Mega Man 10, one of the bosses is like, one of the stages has this thing where you want to get into this room and there's these little computer things, and they would like show one of the robot masters on the screen, and then the little thing would fly around and act like that robot. So like basically bringing in the old robots, either through Dock Robot or via that thing.
Now, what do you mean by Dock Robot?
Dock Robot is a thing in Mega Man 3. So in Mega Man 3, after you beat the first 8 bosses, instead of going to the Wily's castle, you have to go through 4 stages again. And like, there's just a question mark on the spaces. So when you click on it or whatever, it shows the... I actually forget if it shows the Dock Robot or if it just shows the question mark. But when you get into halfway through the stage, you run into one of the boss rooms, and there's Dock Robot. It's this like skull-faced, because of course Wily loves skulls.
That's because he's evil
looking thing, and then like one of the Mega Man 2 bosses falls into it. I mean, you have to use your imagination. This is an NES game, so it's like, is that robot piloting it, or is it like the AI of that robot being installed into this thing?
Okay.
Or is it the spirit of the robot? I don't know. It's not clear, but like,
robots can't have spirits. Silly.
Basically, it's in Mega Man 3 you have to fight the Mega Man 2 bosses again. But instead of having those bosses' sprites and all the sprite sheets for them, they use the Dock Robot sprite, which is like this like multi-use thing that I guess Wily installs the AI of previous Robot Masters in.
Okay.
It's just a way of like, oh, you have to fight the bosses again, except it's using this sprite. So you have to fight Dock Robot a few times in this remix. And it's cool because like, I forget which ones you have to fight in that form. One of them is Splash Woman from Mega Man 9. So
a woman robot.
It's kind of fun. It's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And yeah. And then like later on you fight the other thing, again, from Mega Man 10. I don't remember the name of this one, unfortunately. But picture in your mind a room. There's a big old computer in the back. A big old screen on it. And these 2 little, like, I don't know, floating mechanical things. The screen will pop up with one of the Robot Masters. Like, one of them was Aquaman from Mega Man 8.
Okay.
Then the little bit comes out and, like, it acts like him. So he'll be shooting out water and stuff, and you have to destroy it. And then the other one will come out. And the other one was, like, Drill Man, which is funny because Drill Man was already in Mega Man 4. But because the new version of Drill Man in this ROM hack has new AI, where he'll go, like, underground and, like, shoot up the drill missiles at you. When you fight the Drill Man in this machine, it's using the AI from the original Mega Man 4. So you have to fight like Drill Man in 2 different forms.
Oh, that's cool, I guess. I mean, it's some variety, right?
Yeah, it's cool. And anyway, there's just a bunch of fun little bosses like that. One of the other bosses is a repeat of the Mega Man 2 hologram chip thing. except they kind of like remix that too. So like you're fighting the wily alien again, and it's
jeez.
but you're like trapped in this one little area. It's almost like a puzzle. I don't know. It was fun. All the stages were good, and one thing I really liked right before the boss rush at the end, it was almost like an optional stage because like you climb up the ladder and there's the gate with the big old W. It's like, oh, you can go in there and just go, or you can climb up this ladder and see what's up there. And up there is just like this whole bonus level where there's like a bunch of E-tanks and 1-ups and stuff like that you can like, try to get. It's like, if you don't need that, if you're just speedrunning, you could just go straight to the boss. But if you want to like refill, yeah, you got this little bonus stage to go through. So that was kind of cool. Wily boss at the end was fun. I'm just going to spoil it because fuck it. Most people probably aren't going to play this, but it's basically the Mega Man 4 boss where he's in that little flying contraption. But again, the attacks are remixed and a bit different. What I really liked was the final boss because, okay, after you beat that, you go to the final stage and you have to fight Wily in his little Wily capsule thing.
I was going to say, is there something after Wily, like something controlling him?
No, it's just like after the boss rush, you fight him in one of his machines, but then after that, he like escapes and you have to go fight him again. And this time, he's like in his capsule.
So he goes from one machine to a different machine.
Yeah, I mean that's classic Mega Man for you. What's fun is they bring in Bass from Mega Man 7. So it's like, oh, suddenly Bass is here, and you have to fight Wily while Bass is also attacking you.
Okay, who is Bass? I know Rock. I know Roll. I know Blues, I guess?
Yeah, that's Proto Man.
Okay.
In Mega Man 7, they introduce another robot called Bass. When you first meet him, he attacks you and he's kind of shitty. And he's like, oh, I guess you don't need my help to defeat Wily because you're way stronger than me. So he flies away and Mega Man's like, oh no, don't go away. We can still, help. And that's Bass. But eventually you find out that Bass is actually working for Wily, or made by Wily. So it's like, oh, it's a trick, blah, 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 whatever. He's basically another rival for Mega Man, and he's kind of like this hot-headed guy who always wants to beat Mega Man. It's whatever. He makes an appearance again in Mega Man 8, and was he playable in 9? No, 10. I think 10 is the game where Proto Man and Bass are playable. Actually, I don't remember if he was in 9 or not. Anyway, he's just another character. It's not important.
Poor him.
What is funny, though, if anyone has beat Mega Man 4 and can remember this, at the end of Mega Man 4... when you beat Wily, he's like, he does this little thing where he gets on the ground and he's like, begging for forgiveness, whatever. That Japanese bowing down thing, right?
Yeah.
But he's right in front of this like little door. So after he's doing that for a while, he stands up, he does this little eyebrow wiggle, and like the door spins and he escapes.
What the fuck?
So in this ROM hack, it's basically that same room. So I'm like, oh, it's just gonna do the same thing again. But instead of like doing the thing where he stands up and like, the door takes him away, it's one of those little helicopter things from Mega Man 9, comes down, grabs him, and like spins him off to the right side of the screen. I don't know. It was just really funny.
So even in this ROM hack, Dr. Wily gets away.
Oh yeah, I mean he has to. Cool. It's a cartoon. It's like
yeah, but
it's like Team Rocket. They have to get away.
I guess, but didn't you say there was one where like you could say he killed him?
Yeah, that's Mega Man 2 for the Game Boy, but that I don't think you can consider that one canon because that was made by a different team.
God, it's like the Batman issue. Like, just fucking kill the evil people already.
There's, in Mega Man 7 for the Super Nintendo, I don't think you can consider this canon either because the localization is different from the original Japanese. But when you get to the end and Wily is again on the ground begging for forgiveness, in the Super Nintendo English version, Mega Man's like, no, we've been through this so many times before. And he basically says, die, Wily. He's like, he was going to kill him. But then Wily's like, no, you forget, you're not allowed to harm humans because of the laws of robotics or whatever. I don't exactly remember the exact details of the Japanese version, but basically that's not what was originally said.
Oh, okay.
Mega Man wasn't like a cold-hearted murder machine or whatever.
Okay, fine. You don't have to murder him. What about just like putting him in prison or something? In
Mega Man 6, he does get put in prison, but in Mega Man 7, he escapes prison.
Oh, of course.
I mean, of course. This is a cartoon. It's like, it's just, you don't have to think about it too seriously.
I guess.
Wiley's always going to get out, and he's always going to come up with some new harebrained idea of like taking over the world or whatever.
And he's always going to escape by wiggling his eyebrows.
Or he's going to like frame somebody. Like in 4, he frames Cossack. In 5, he frames Proto Man. In 6, he pretends to be Dr. X. In 7, he escapes from jail and it's just like, fuck it. In 8, it's like there's this alien robot thing, but it's still Wily. What was 9? I forget the story of 9. And then in 10, he makes like a virus where the robots get sick and like go crazy. I've never played 11, so I don't know what happens in 11.
There's an 11?
Yeah, they made Mega Man 11, but it's
not good.
I don't know. I never played it. It's in 3D.
Oh.
I prefer the old 2D, especially the NES versions. I like 7 and 8 just fine, but NES Mega Man's always the best to me, including 9 and 10, because those are in the same style.
Did you ever play the spiritual successor one?
No, because I didn't back it. It just... I knew from the start, and this is going to sound so stuck up, but I kind of knew from the start that it wouldn't be good. And I guess my reasoning for it was, okay, so when Inafune went out and started the Kickstarter for like the spiritual successor of Mega Man, because Capcom wasn't making Mega Man at that point. Everyone was so excited, but...
They had to change it too much?
It was 3D, so that was strike one for me. It's like, oh, you should have just stuck with 2D.
Wait, wasn't it still side to side though? Or
yes,
you're just
but it's still
about...
it was in polygons.
Okay.
It wasn't 2D art, so like there's something about 3D platformers it just doesn't feel as good to me as a 2D platformer.
That's fair.
But not only that, there was also a gimmick to it. Whereas like instead of just shooting and blowing stuff up, it would like you have to shoot the things and then they would get weak like in Pokemon, and then you'd have to dash into them to like absorb them. And it's like you're complicating this. Just keep it classic. I really don't understand when like I don't know if this is a Japanese dev thing or just in general where you have such a good formula, you don't need to overcomplicate things and change it for this next game. Just make another really good game in that style. Because they did that for Mega Man 11 as well, and that was another reason. Not only because it was 3D, but they threw in a new gimmick, and it's like I just don't want to deal with that. When I played this Mega Man 4 ROM hack, it was just NES Mega Man. Like, I don't need a new gimmick. Just make fun levels with fun new AIs for the bosses and new boss ideas and all that stuff. I don't need... Now you have to use the slowdown thing, and you press L1 to make everything go really slow, or press R1 to make everything hit really hard. It's like... I don't know. When I saw that from Mega Man 11, that and it being in 3D, I was just like, I don't really care. I don't want to play this. So, I just play old ROM hacks or replay the old games, and I'll be happy that way. Because there's a ton of ROM hacks out there for Mega Man. Like, just so many.
Kind of like the same thing that happens with Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many. I've played quite a few already. I can't remember all of the ones off the top of my head, but...
Is there a website specifically for these ROM hacks, or is it like a general ROM hack site?
There's a ROM hacking site. I don't know the name off the top of my head. It might literally just be romhacking.net, but I don't know. Speaking of that though, I did download another ROM hack for a different game. But it's this website also hosts like fan translations.
Okay.
So it's not just ROM hacks for like changing the games completely, but sometimes like, oh, this game has never been localized. So they'll host I guess you still would call them ROM hacks for fan translations. And I downloaded one for a Super Nintendo game whose name I don't remember because it's just 2 Japanese words, and whoops, I didn't actually expect to talk about it. So that'll be a hint for something to talk about later. It's a story-based game. I don't think there's any combat or anything in it, but I heard some good things about it, and I've been curious, so I think I'll give it a play. Maybe even get you to come join, since it's mostly just a story thing anyways.
Yeah, maybe I should play more ROM hacks, because I guess that would fall under the whole kind of like indie title type of thing.
Yeah, exactly, because these are just, indie devs. They aren't making money off of these things, but they're just fans making content for games that they like. And some of them are really good, like that Mega Man one I played, or some of them are just fan translations, which are also incredibly good and useful. Like the Mother 3 translation, probably one of the most well-known, well-loved ROM hacks that you can get. Mother 3 is it's just amazing, and we are lucky to have been able to experience that story because, you know, fans were out there translating the game and making it playable for Westerners.
Thank you, translators, because I can't imagine how hard that must be.
Yeah.
It's like you can either do the direct translation and leave in all the cultural things that people may or may not get, or you translate it to more fit our style of understanding.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's multiple styles of translations, so
everyone has their different preferences, yeah. Like, sometimes you'll even see fan translations of games that are already translated because they just want to retranslate it. I usually don't get too anal about that kind of thing. I want it to sound more natural versus it being literal translations, because I know Japanese if you know Japanese even a little bit, you know that the way they speak is it's just different.
Yeah.
I guess on the topic of fan translations and ROM hacks, I'm also kind of in the mood to play through Police Knots.
Now that's an old one, right?
Yeah.
Is that from the 80s or 90s?
No, it was originally made for the I don't know the name of the Japanese PC system it was made for, but there was a port for the Saturn and for the PS1 and for the 3DO.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Police Knots was it technically Hideo Kojima's first game?
No, it's not his first game, but it is one of his earlier games.
Before Metal Gear?
No, technically no.
Oh, okay. See,
before Metal Gear Solid. Wait, was it before Metal Gear Solid? I don't think it was before Metal Gear Solid. They might have been developed around the same time, but if you've played Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1, you'll recognize the music in Police Knots, because like they use the little intro tune in Police Knots, and it's got like a full version of that song in there. But Police Knots is basically like I don't want to say graphic novel game. It's more like an interactive movie, which, I mean, for
That's
Kojima...
most of his games, isn't it?
Yeah, for Kojima, that makes a lot of sense. And I remember playing it on the PlayStation like ages ago, but I never beat it. I don't remember why. And I don't know, I feel like I just want to experience that again and actually finish it. And again, it's just like an interactive anime, basically.
Well, then when you play, you should let me know so I can watch.
Yeah, I think that will be fun. We can just experience the story together. Because I thought it was a really interesting story. Basically,
I forget, did you mention, because I feel like you had talked to me about this once before, at least once before. Does this have like one of those space elevator things in it? Or am I thinking of something completely different? Or was it Space Ring or something about that, right?
There's a space colony. It's one of those colonies where, yeah, it's got like imagine like the Gundam style colonies where I don't remember the sci-fi term for it, but they are basically long tubes and they make gravity by rotating.
Yeah, those are space rings, right? Or is it different?
It's not a ring like Halo.
Oh, okay.
There are some that are like Halos, yeah, but this is more like a big long tube.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah, like people live on the inside of the tube and it rotates and that creates gravity. But there are like special elevators where instead of like going all the way around the perimeter of the tube, you could just take the elevator to go straight to the opposite side of the station, right? Or of the colony, because it's not a station. And there is a cool section in that game where there's like a nightclub or something in the center of the elevator, basically. Like the elevator connects the two sides, but in the middle there's like this little nightclub. And people will go up there, and because there's no rotational force, there's no gravity.
They just float around.
Yeah. So everyone's just having a good time at like 0G. It's like, oh, cool, I want to take the elevator to the 0G club or whatever. And like just a bunch of fun sci-fi stuff like that. And like other little touches, like in this space colony, like smoking is strictly prohibited because of open flames, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then like also same goes for cars. Like there's no cars allowed because of combustion. And like I guess this was before like electric cars. I think there's like some electric cars, but for most people they just walk and use transit, which I mean would make sense for a colony like that. You don't want to be...
Yeah, like I don't know how big this magical space tube is, but it feels like you wouldn't need personal cars. I'm sure there's just the elevator that goes through the middle, and that's would count as public transit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's still big, but I guess I won't say too much more. Like, we'll talk about it more one day when we actually play through it. Because, yeah, that'd be fun to play, especially if you're into watching the story with me. Because I think the story is really good.
And it's police not, so I'm assuming it has some kind of detective stuff going on.
Yeah, basically, the guys are the police of this thing. You know what? I don't remember exactly if he was originally a police not, and then he became a detective. Because, like, when the character you play as, at the moment, he's a detective, and somebody comes to you, somebody important comes to him, and is like, I need your help to find my husband or something. And, well, I won't say more than that. You'll see when we play, but...
Fair.
It's really good. I mean, if anyone out there wants a good, like, old story-based game that's just like an interactive anime, Police Knots is really good. And I think there's like I think it must be a fan translation for the PS1 version. I think that's probably the one we'll end up playing.
Okay.
There's also like the very old computer version, but again, I don't remember the name of that Japanese computer off the top of my head. That one's more of a pixel look to it, or like all the cutscenes and stuff are like it's pixel art, whereas the console versions have like hand drawn, so it's more like anime looking.
Okay.
Anyway, well, yeah, that'll be fun to play. I don't know when we'll do that, but I also have other games I want to play, so.
But play something of Hideo Kojima's that isn't like Metal Gear or I guess Death Stranding. Some of his early work.
Yeah.
See how it's changed or not.
And then like the other game that he made before that was Snatcher. That's also like a very story-based game, but that one I haven't played at all. That one's basically like, what was that movie we watched? God, with Harrison Ford and the cyborgs.
Oh,
The name is escaping me. I don't know. It's a cyberpunk style movie with Harrison Ford. How am I not remembering the name of it? And he has to hunt down like these synths.
The Replicants?
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And
like I can see the movie in my face and like
in your face.
I can see the movie in my mind and like all the scenes and stuff, but for some reason the name is escaping me right now. Wow.
2077?
No, that's Cyberpunk.
Fuck. I know what you're talking about. Anyways, I'm sure everyone else does too.
Yeah. Anyway, that Snatcher is basically that.
Okay.
Maybe I'll play that one day too, but I want to play Police Knots first. But there is another game I want to play too. That's I guess I'm just mostly talking about the games I want to play instead of like what I actually played.
Well, I mean, we already went over the games we played, so.
I did play another one.
Oh, the HoloLive thing?
Yeah, I finally got around to trying that, and it's fine. I really like the little enemies in it because it's just like these little anime Japanese like mascot things as enemies, like.
I mean, it looks a lot cuter than the Brotato you were playing.
Yeah. It's definitely way cuter. Like,
sorry, Brotato, but come on.
It's just, like some of the enemies are funny. Like some of them is like these delinquent skeletons with like the Japanese school boy coats or whatever, and God. Like this super buff duck man and a bunch of like anime girls and stuff, of course, and just. Weird pig people. It's just very cartoony, anime, silly animal things, which I love. Whereas, yeah, Brotato is just kind of like this. No offense to the guy who made it. I mean, the game is fun, I guess, but it's not very visually appealing. Gameplay-wise, they both have their pros and cons, I guess. But, I don't know. Every time I play the HoloLive, it's just like... I like looking at the little enemies and stuff, but the gameplay just... I don't know. There's just something about it where I can see what it's trying to do with the whole, like, oh, the numbers are big and you're leveling up and it's that thing, like, you know, Vampire Survivor. But somehow it's also kind of not super fun.
Maybe we should just get you Vampire Survivors because, like, I really enjoyed that. And you could, since you've played these other versions or types of it, you could compare and see what, I don't know if it counts as the original. Or just see if you like how Vampire Survivors works better? Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, you looked at it. It's like $5, right?
Yeah. I mostly been playing these, like, between HoloCure and Brotato as, like, podcast games. So it's like, well, I got some podcasts I want to catch up on, so I'll just use this as an excuse to, like, veg out and play these dumb stuff while I, you know, I'm actually enjoying just listening to the podcasts.
So you're playing games while listening to podcasts so you can talk about the games you played on your podcast.
Well, no, not really. I'm not playing those to have things to talk about. I was just playing those to have something to do. Now that I'm lining up some more like story-based games, I'll probably maybe play those less. I don't know. We'll see. The thing about those, like we've mentioned before, it's easy just to jump in and play a little bit without worrying about like, oh,
you have to like pay attention.
Yeah, like, and then like the story and dungeons or whatever. It's just kind of brain dead gaming, which I mean is fine, I guess, like especially for podcasts. But like, if I'm not listening to a podcast, I feel kind of just, I don't know, brain dead playing those games, and it's not super appealing. It's weird. It's both a fun and also not fun. It's appealing and not appealing. I really don't know how to feel about these games. It's tricky for me to describe.
They're probably just games that they do work in a very specific scenario, or at least for you. Like, yeah, if you get a podcast to listen to and you need to do something with your hands, then just like play this silly keyboard game or something.
Yeah.
Because there's no story to worry about, right? You don't have to be super precise in how you're doing things.
Yeah. I did play a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of The Legend of Mystical Ninja for the Super Nintendo. Yeah. Because I wanted to get my RetroArch to set up for playing two games that I want to play. One of them is the one I mentioned where it's this Japanese story game with the fan translation, whose name I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'll look into that. But I haven't played it much, so I don't really have much to say about it just yet. And the other one I want to play is Terranigma, because one of the podcasts I listen to, shout out to RetroArch, I think is what they're called. They're State of the Arc podcast, and they just talk about like, right now they're in this big mood of talking about Metal Gear Solid 2 and like, you know, going through the story and stuff, but they're the ones that did the Jacob's Ladder.
Oh yeah.
So it's those guys.
Yay.
They do really good podcasts, and their next game for like the book club or game club where, you know, play along is going to be Terranigma. And I've never done a play along with people, so I figured, yeah, sure. I've been wanting to get back into Terranigma because I never beat it. I don't think I ever really got that far. I think I must have gotten to like, I've made it, this is going to sound confusing and without any context, and I'm just going to leave it with no context, but I basically made it to Earth, and it was the first section of that, I think. So that's as far as I got. I never played much further than that, so it'll be fun to see what exactly is going on in that game. Because I do love that developer. Like, Illusion of Gaia was really good.
And who's the developer?
I don't remember the name of it. Was it Enix that made that? No. They also made ActRaiser, I think. Because, like, if you play ActRaiser and then you play, like, Illusion of Gaia, for example, you'll hear a lot of the same sound effects and stuff. I don't remember the name of the developer. I'll have to look into that. Was it really just Enix? I'm not sure.
Enix?
Before Squaresoft and Enix merged, yeah.
Huh, okay.
I feel like it's somebody else, though. Don't quote me on that.
Well, now we have to quote you on that.
Anyway, I'm going to be playing Terranigma, so...
Maybe I should try it, too.
If you want to, or you could just, again, chill with me and we can discuss the things that are going on while I handle the gameplay, or we switch back and forth.
Fair.
It's like a top-down... I don't want to say Zelda-like game, but basically, like, yeah, a top-down action RPG. So it's not like turn-based or anything. You're controlling one character and, you know, going through dungeons and the overworld and stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wanted to set up my RetroArch to handle Super Nintendo games. So I used Legend of the Mystical Ninja as a quick little test, and I didn't play it for too much. I mean, I beat that game as a kid. That would be a fun game to play with you, too, if we can somehow get, like, a infinite lives code, because like later on it gets crazy. That game is not easy, but it's so good, and the music is so good, and it's really funny too. Like, it's just, again, that Japanese silliness where they find the perfect balance of telling a story but also making it fun and goofy. A lot of Super Nintendo games in my future, and maybe a PlayStation game if I play Policenauts. I guess I have a lot of games I want to play. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it.
Yeah, that's always the tricky thing. And it's like, there's a lot of games that you do want to play, and hopefully they don't go on for too long, because, well, I guess that's probably a discussion for another time, but sometimes you just want to play a lot of quick games. and enjoy their quick stories and not spend 100 hours.
Yeah, all these games I think are pretty quick. Well, I mean,
usually the older games tend to be
yeah, because
quicker.
even an RPG on like the Super Nintendo, they're not going to be as long as like an RPG nowadays.
Yeah.
They can only fit so much on those cartridges. So yeah, that'll be something to look forward to, I guess. Maybe I'll try to make a little schedule so we can play together if you want.
Sounds good.
All right, well, I guess that's enough for now. I mean, I could keep talking about other shit, but we can just call it here, unless you have anything else you want to say.
Nope. I'm good.
Alrighty.
Well, we'll see you next week, and we love you. Bye.
Bye, take care.